Hello, my name is Enrique Lopez, and today I'm going to be completing the Week 7 assignment for the SDI FTE 217 Modern Sport Rifles. Today is July 7th, 2026. So today's assignment consists on 4 parts, and for part 1 is basically a little bit of a trigger talk, and I will analyze when the trigger work is necessary or shall be performed and when it shall not be performed. I'll also will discuss the problems that can occur when improper trigger work has been performed, and also I will discuss what constitutes improper trigger work and how can it be avoided. So starting on the trigger talk, trigger work shall only be performed when there is a legitimate need to improve the firearm functions or replace worn or damaged parts. Some example of this, it will include a trigger that has excessive creep and initial heavy trigger pull, inconsistent reset, or visible wear on the engagement surfaces. Many shooters also replace factory triggers with quality aftermarket triggers to improve accuracy and consistency, especially for competition or precision shooting. Any trigger works shall always maintain the firearm safety features and follow the manufacturer's specifications. Trigger work shall not be performed simply to achieve the lightest possible trigger pull, removing too much material from the hammer or sear engagement surface, like in here and in here, and with a file or a dremel, and cutting the springs or modifying parts beyond their intended design can create an unsafe firearm. The improper trigger work can also create several dangerous problems. The firearm may fire when the bolt closes. The firearm it can also lead to fire multiple rounds with a single trigger pull, or fail to reset, or discharge if drop it or bump it. This condition creates serious safety hazards and may make the firearm unreliable or even illegal if it is unintentionally functions as a machine gun. Improper trigger works can also include polishing or grinding critical engagement surface without the proper knowledge, reducing spring tension by cutting springs, altering sears, geometry, or using incorrect replacement parts. These mistakes can often be avoided by using quality components from reputable manufacturers, following in factory instruction, measuring trigger pull with this tool every time you're doing a job, and performing complete function check after any work is completed, and replacing damaged components rather than attempting to unsafe modification. For part 2, I'm gonna perform a detailed inspection of my AR and articulate what I'm looking for. I'm gonna put this part right here. I'm gonna use my AR-15 since I'm just making some paint works on the AR-10. We're gonna be showing that this firearm, it doesn't have any live ammunition. We see that we don't have any magazine. We visually and physically check that there's no ammo on the chamber near on the working area. So looking for details in an inspection, I'm gonna start by searching on the lower receiver and the upper receiver that it doesn't have like any cracks or any damage. Putting apart everything. First on the lower part, I'm gonna check that my hammer and my trigger, they don't have any crack, they don't have any dents. Also that the springs, they have no damage, that they fully cocked with no issues. When it pulls, it just strikes normally. I'm gonna be checking for the magazine catch, that is working properly, that it doesn't have any damage. I'm also gonna check that my safety selector is working properly and is making the function that hold the triggers. My buffer tube, that is retaining properly. Moving on to the upper receiver, I'm gonna start inspecting. I'm looking for details on my bolt carrier group, that it doesn't have any crack or any damage. I also gonna be looking for the bolt lugs, that they don't have any crack or any part broken or damaged. Also, I'm gonna check for my ejector, that is working properly, and the extractor also, that they have their proper function. Also for the gas cam, I'm also gonna be checking that it doesn't have any wear or any damage or crack, that my fasteners are tight in position. I'm gonna check for my firing pin, that it doesn't have any damage or dent, that the partition it's on the right size. Also, I'm going to be checking on my barrel extension, that on the lock position, that all my lugs they are not worn, they have no cracks, they have no damage. I'm going to move on to the gas port. So basically, I have one here disassembled. I'm going to be checking that it's not vented, that it's online. Over here, I'm going to be checking that it's online on the proper position. Also, let's say if I just disassemble the rifle, I'm going to be checking for my gas port on the barrel, that is clean, that is not clogged, that it doesn't have like any cracks. On the bore, I can check that I don't have any pitting on my chamber, and that all my fasteners are tight and not loosened and not missing. Moving on to the part 3, that is to check the safety system and disconnector operation on the firearm and articulate what I'm going to be looking for. I'm going to be assembling the AR again to do this test. So for the part 3, again, I'm going to be showing that we have a unload firearm, visually and physically check there's no bullet on the chamber. Also, for this one, I'm going to be using a dummy round. I have an empty magazine. So first I'm going to start by charging the rifle. I'm going to be putting it in a safe position. I'm going to put in the trigger. It's working properly. I'm going to put it on the fire position. When I pull the trigger, this should release the hammer. Now we see that this have a properly connection to the disconnector. Again, safe mode. I'm going to use a mallet to perform a drop test. So let's see. We're still in the safe. We're going to put it in on the fire position. This shows us that we have in a proper function. Again, on the fire position. Alright, now we're going to be pulling the trigger. The disconnector should capture the hammer and prevent it from following the bolt. As it slowly release the trigger, there was a click over there. And the hammer transfer from the disconnector back to the triggers here with a distant reset click. After the reset, pulling the trigger, again, should release the hammer normally. This checks confirm that the firearm selected trigger hammer and disconnector are functionally correct. So for last check, with the dummy round, I'm gonna load it, and for the time I pull, the bullet should comes out, and the bolt should stay in the lock position. Now taking off the magazine, oops, and releasing the bolt catch. Now for the part 4 is to articulate what you will believe, or what I'll believe, is the easiest and most difficult part of making repairs and alteration on the AR platforms. So I believe the easiest repairs on the AR platform are replacing modular parts such as the trigger assemblies, charging handles, pistol grips, stocks, the buffer assembly, and or handguards. The AR platform was designed with modularity in mind, and many components can be replaced with a basic hand tool while following the proper procedures. In my opinion, the most difficult repairs involve diagnosing malfunctions and working on components that require precise measurements and specialized tools like barrel installation, the headspace, the gas system alignment, and putting it in the right timing, bolt fittings, and troubleshooting cycle issues. That's required the road understanding of how all the components works together. Small mistakes during these repairs can affect reliability, accuracy, and safety. And because of this, I believe most challenging aspect of working the AR platform is accurately diagnosis the root cause of malfunction and ensuring all repairs maintain the firearm safe operation. That's all for this video.